2 people inside there screaming for help.
The fire is inside.
Oh, hurry! Hurry! They said it happened just so quick. Just so quick.
That turned a situation that could have been potentially fatal.
Put the knife away.
I saw him fall in from the dock. I needed to go get him.
Dozen families a week that would ask for help, and then people started jumping on board, helping me get food.
Giving him some CPR, and then he coughed.
Don't be scared, don't be nervous to do this. Just go save a child that is drowning.
I was thankful that I could save that little boy.
The domino effect of this will forever change people's lives. It really, really will. My family will be forever grateful.
Good morning and welcome to the 2021 Northwest Washington Heroes Breakfast. I'm Mark Wright, evening news anchor for King 5 TV in Seattle. I'm so honored to be with you this morning to celebrate an extraordinary group of heroes who have impacted our community over this past year. This morning, we are going to celebrate those people and their accomplishments while raising critical money for the American Red Cross. So you might be asking, why is it important to support the Red Cross? I'll tell you in short, the Red Cross is there right when people need help in all kinds of ways. Just this week on King 5, we covered the story, and maybe you saw this, of a family on the Washington coast whose home literally blew up in the middle of the night. Thankfully, the elderly couple living there weren't hurt, but the last line of that story, and this is often the case in stories like this, the last line of that story literally was, the Red Cross is helping the family find a place to stay. So instead of being out in the cold right now, they're being cared for by this incredible organization. All right, let's get this next part out of the way. I know that most of us are really Zoom at this point in the pandemic, but I guarantee you this Zoom meeting is going to leave you inspired. It's going to leave you full of hope and full of gratitude as you head out for the rest of your day. This morning, we have 7 stories of heroism and selflessness to share with you, and that's my favorite part of this event. We saw children, kids who saved lives this past year. So it just goes to show that all of us can have a hero inside us if we prepare and if we are willing to take action when necessary. These stories will move you emotionally and move you, I hope, to action. I'm so grateful that you're here with me in celebration of human spirit and in support of the humanitarian work of the American Red Cross. All right, let's start by thanking one of our longtime sponsors. This Heroes event would not be possible without the generosity of our title sponsor, and that is the Tulalip Tribes. We are so thankful for their long-term partnership with the Red Cross. In the next hour, we will hear from additional sponsors, board members, special guests who've given their time, their talent, their financial gifts to support the Northwest Washington Heroes Breakfast. And speaking of financial gifts, each of us will have an opportunity to support the mission of the American Red Cross throughout the morning. This morning, it's super easy to do. So please consider making a donation this morning. You'll see on the left side of your screen there, donation options, and you'll be able to make a gift while viewing the remainder of our breakfast. And if you're viewing from a mobile device, you'll need to exit the full screen and scroll below the video window to make the donation. Another super easy way is to just pull out your phone and text NWWA21 to 76278. As my Swedish grandmother, Eleanor, often used to say, many hands make light work. And that saying is so true. If we each do our part today, that combined effort will make a huge difference. So again, thank you for your support and consideration. At this time, I'd like to introduce Northwest Washington Chapter Executive Director, Kelly Thode.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Thode, Executive Director of the Northwest Washington Chapter at the American Red Cross. I wish we were together in person at the beautiful Orca Ballroom at the Tulalip Resort Casino But I am excited to be here with you virtually to celebrate this year's Heroes Breakfast. This is our 26th year of this annual event, and I know many of you have attended in person for years, decades even. We thank you for your ongoing support. It has been another year filled with challenges as we continue to navigate the effects of the pandemic and respond to disasters big and small across our chapter and across the country. Our Northwest Washington chapter is still cleaning up from devastating floods impacting Whatcom, Skagit, and Island counties, impacting hundreds of Northwest Washington lives. I've stepped away from our disaster headquarters in Skagit County just for this morning to welcome you. We appreciate your continued support as we carry out the Red Cross mission locally and in our own communities. During this disaster response, I've been able to see firsthand the incredible work of our volunteers and staff. Together, Red Cross volunteers have distributed over 3,200 meals and more than 700 cleanup kits to families affected by the flooding. Our disaster cycle services team has managed 3 shelters, hosting over 800 overnight stays for individuals displaced by the floods. It's in times like these that the community comes together to support one another. And that's exactly what we do here at the American Red Cross as we alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. We do this with the power of volunteers and the generosity of our donors. You truly make this possible. Our volunteers are what make this chapter so special. They consistently go above and beyond to serve locally and across the country. This year, with your support, our local volunteers deployed to Louisiana to support Hurricane Ida relief, to California and Oregon for wildfire response, and they traveled to Texas, first to support migrant children near the Mexico border, and later to support Afghan evacuees. I am so thankful for our volunteers and their willingness to step forward and support where it's needed most. We are also grateful for our amazing board of directors. They have made a tremendous impact on our local chapter. Our board members work together to help extend the outreach of the American Red Cross to serve our local community. They also ensure the continued collection of essential blood products by identifying new locations and partners to host blood drives. This year, we are looking to double blood collection numbers in our area, and board members are making that happen. I'm constantly reminded of the importance of blood donations to support millions of Americans in need of life-saving blood. We'll get to hear more about this from a special speaker later in today's program. I am very proud to be a part of this outstanding team. And while we faced our fair share of challenges this year, we've also seen incredible everyday heroism that continues to inspire me. And I hope it'll inspire you today too. I can confidently say there's no shortage of strength, perseverance, and heroism within Northwest Washington. Before we dive into today's hero stories, I'd like to turn it over to 2 of our prominent Northwest Washington board members to make a special introduction of a hero who couldn't be here with us today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gloria Hiroshima, Northwest Washington Chapter Board Chair.
And I'm Artie Burley, Northwest Washington Chapter Board Member and Event Chair. We are so thankful that you joined us for this special program.
While we gather to recognize and celebrate this year's heroes, we know our community has been greatly impacted by one hero who could not be here with us today, Officer Charlie Cortez.
Officer Cortez of the Tulalip Tribal Police Department lost his life in the line of duty this year, and the loss has been deeply felt by all of us in the Northwest Washington community. Here to accept a recognition of Officer Cortez and his courage in action is Tulalip Tribe's Vice Chairman, Glenn Gobin, and Tulalip Tribe's Police Chief, Chris Sutter.
Good morning, my name is Chris Sutter. I'm the Chief of Police for the Tulalip Tribal Police Department. Thank you for being here this morning, as today we honor a local Tulalip hero, Fish and Wildlife Officer Charlie Joe Cortez, for his ultimate sacrifice while on the line of duty The loss of Officer Cortez is felt deeply by the community, the department, and all those who knew and loved him. We want to thank the Red Cross for recognizing and honoring Officer Cortez's sacrifice. On November 17, 2020, Tulalip Police Officer Cortez and Tulalip Police Boat Operator Sean Edge embarked on a 24-foot patrol vessel to investigate a possible poaching incident in the waters located north of Everett, Washington, in the Puget Sound. The vessel in question was last seen entering the mouth of the Snohomish River. The Tulalip officers were unable to locate the vessel and believed that it had made it safely back into the port of Everett. Officer Cortez and Operator Edge then began their return trip back to Tulalip Bay, their home port, when storm conditions quickly worsened with dangerous gale force winds and high waves. As Officer Cortez navigated the dangerous conditions, a wave capsized their 24-foot patrol vessel, knocking both officers into the sea. Both officers attempted to swim back to the patrol vessel, each time being knocked back by high waves. Boat Operator Edge was found approximately 3.5 hours later, suffering from extreme hypothermia. Officer Cortez was not found and is still missing at sea. Officer Cortez and the other Tulalip Police Fish and Wildlife officers are protectors of tribal treaty rights and responsible for enforcement of tribal laws pertaining to the protection of natural resources. Tulalip Police Fish and Wildlife officers put their lives and personal safety at risk while conducting search and rescue missions, assisting in vessel distress calls, and when conducting other law enforcement duties. Officer Cortez displayed exceptionally meritorious conduct in the course of his duties. This selfless act of carrying out his law enforcement duties was above and beyond the call of duty and at great risk to his personal safety. I extend our gratitude and thanks to all the tribal, federal, state, and local agencies that assisted with the extensive search efforts, along with numerous tribal fishermen and private boat owners who assisted, along with hundreds of people walking our beaches and tidelands. Officer Cortez always had a smile. Charlie was kind, he was well-liked, and he was always willing to help and give assistance whenever called upon. He gladly accepted assignments and carried out his duties. Charlie leaves behind his two beautiful children, Dominic and Peyton, along with his parents, Alan and Paula, brother Richard, Grandma Sandra, and many relatives and friends who love and miss him. Although Charlie is gone, he will never be forgotten, and today we honor his sacrifice. Thank you.
I don't think we can really talk about Charlie's life without truly understanding Charlie's background, how Charlie grew up, in the family values that he had, his outdoor activities, and how he excelled in all of those activities. When Charlie chose to become a tribal police officer, a fish and wildlife officer, all of us could not have been more proud of him to do that, because we watched him grow up, we've seen the values and how he excelled in the things that he chose to do and how he conducted and carried himself. So on that night when Charlie was on duty and saw some what looked like illegal poaching activities taking place, having grown up on the reservation and knowing what it means to have your pots raided or gear stolen or activities like that, he knew fully what he needed to do. And that was to go out and investigate to see if he could stop what was taking place. When Charlie left that night, he had no idea that he was putting his life on the line. But really, no officers or first responders do. They go, they do their work, they do their duty, and they just go, and not thinking about what could happen. Well, on this night, weather conditions changed as such that caused the boat to capsize and Charlie to lose his life. And sometimes it's the things we take for granted in life, that we're always going to be there. We always get that next step. We always get that next opportunity. But for Charlie, he was out doing his job. He was protecting his fishermen, fellow tribal members, and policing the fishing grounds like he did the night before, the day before, the weeks before that. I want to thank Sergeant Santos for nominating Charlie for this award, and I want to thank the Red Cross for always recognizing those heroes that are around us, that accept that inherent risk when they enter different activities that sometimes may cost them the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn and Chief Sutter, for that tribute to a dear friend. I know so many of us have been touched by the story of Officer Cortez. Really a good reminder that heroes are often forged in moments of great danger and just how much courage it takes to act. We appreciate and we honor the sacrifice of Officer Cortez and, in fact, all who are in uniform with us this morning. Thank you for the service that you provide all of us. All right, if you've attended this event in the past, especially pre-pandemic, you'll be familiar with the long-standing partnership between the Tulalip tribe and the American Red Cross. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mel Sheldon from the tribe to introduce an incredible story out of Sumas, Washington.
Good morning and welcome, all of you early risers. This is one of the premier events of the season, and I am so proud to be here with you. Today, I'm honored to present a Heroes Award to someone who faced down the flames from another source. When he saw the flames, David Hansen, he knew immediately he had to jump into action, and he did.
All right, let's go. Come on, Eli.
The Hansen family of 5 was late, leaving their index home on the way to homeschool group. It was Dad's fault they were behind. He doesn't usually go along.
Hey guys, you gotta go. We're late.
Running late is not a good thing, of course, but the timing that morning put David Hansen in the right place on Highway 2, not far from their home, at exactly the right time.
Coming around the corner, there was a lot of smoke that noticed from the side of the shoulder. There was traffic backed up, and immediately I knew that there was something going wrong, so I saw everybody running to the shoulder, and I immediately said, hey guys, I need to just wait in here. I'm gonna see what's going on.
A truck hauling concrete supplies had rolled down an embankment.
Oh my God, hurry, get him out.
There were two people inside there screaming for help.
Fire is inside. Oh, hurry!
They were trapped, and the truck was on fire.
We need another fire extinguisher!
The vehicle was on the driver's side, and the fire was actually in the passenger, coming out of the passenger compartment.
David, when he's not Dad, is a firefighter and EMT.
There's 2 bags in here.
He knew what he and the others had to do, but he didn't have any of his normal equipment or protective gear.
I noticed there was a small opening in the windshield, and I immediately knew I needed a different tool to open up. And I looked at my feet, there happened to be a concrete spike.
He used that spike to open the windshield and pull one of the men out.
The next victim in there, the gentleman, he was screaming, help, I need help.
Oh my God, hurry, get him out.
When I peered over the ravine and looked down, then it looked scary. I saw the black smoke, you can hear the roar of the fire, and I felt the heat, and I knew that he was in shorts and a t-shirt. Then I got concerned for him. And then I think my thoughts quickly went, oh, he could die doing this.
The fire's in the cab.
As the smoke was intensifying, and he said he was stuck, and I said, what got you stuck? He goes, I can't get the seatbelt off. So I said, okay, so I yelled for a knife. And I said, I need a knife, I need a knife. And like I said, out of my shoulder, there happened to just be a red Makita knife.
Come on, baby. Oh.
David cut the seatbelt and pulled the man through the windshield he'd just opened.
They got him out. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I would say probably 10 seconds later, the whole vehicle flashed.
The 2 men who'd been trapped were airlifted to Harborview. They had injuries and burns, but were ultimately okay.
The detached trailer is right there on the shoulder, and the truck was down there, in between there.
They survived because a group of heroes, led by one with just the right experience, overcame fire and fear and did not give up.
I never got to personally thank each bystander, because without their willingness to help, without their assisting in that, everybody had a part. Whether it was the extinguishers, whether it was the assist bringing them up, whether it was the first aid kit, I think they deserve the credit as much. I mean, they were a part of this great piece of the puzzle to figure out how to help these individuals.
The Hansen kids never made it to school that day, but the family learned lessons they'll remember forever.
Everything you do in life there's a purpose behind it. When something critical like this happens, that's when you get to see people perform an action together and to make a greater difference.
Nothing's an interruption, and if something comes down your path and you can do something, do it.
Wow, what an amazing story. David, congratulations. I can't imagine what that must have been like, but the clarity and purpose that you felt to take action that day really did save 2 lives. You are truly an inspiration. And as David mentioned, it often takes a team of people to do something like that. So in addition to everyone in attendance this morning, this event would not be possible without the synergy and commitment of the Northwest Washington board members. These generous individuals have contributed their time and their monetary donations to fuel this event. Thank you for your passion and dedication to support the American Red Cross. All right, let's now head over to our next presenter.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Jonas with Kendall Auto Group. We are honored to be a sponsor at this year's event and extremely grateful to be able to present the Commitment to Community Award. At Kendall, giving back has been a cornerstone of our company for decades, striving to make our communities happier, healthier, safer places to live. And that is just what Cindy Buchanan did when she saw a growing need in her Whidbey Island community. And so I know that you'll all agree with me, she deserves to be called a hero.
In Freeland on Whidbey Island, you don't see signs of struggle, but many people here, like most everywhere, have had a hard time through COVID and its economic punch in the gut.
There are way more people that are in need and need a little extra help than what people know about.
Cindy Buchanan saw it, and she did something about it.
Anybody that may need clothing, household goods, food, any type of resources that we are able to help with can come in and get what they need for free.
This is the Whidbey Island Angels Resource Center. It started small in March of 2020 with Cindy learning through Facebook about someone who needed food. And then someone else.
First month we had about 2 or 3 families a week, and then it got to be more. After 3 months there was like probably a dozen families a week that would ask for help, and then people started jumping on board helping me get food.
We have pull-ups for adults, we have diapers, we have toilet paper.
The Whidbey Island Angels Resource Center, which quickly outgrew Cindy's spare bedroom, is now right in the middle of town, continually stocked with donations of whatever a family might need.
So we also help out with cat food, we have dog stuff over here.
People come here to shop for others, for themselves, to drop off donations or volunteer.
This is our sorting room.
When a family needs something that's not in the center, such as an appliance or car repair, the request spreads, either online or through the grapevine, and the connection gets made.
Somebody will ask for something. I'm in need of a twin bed. Is there anybody that can help me? Somebody will just jump in and say, I've got one. I can bring it to you.
What began with Cindy, one person wanting to make a difference for one other person, has now grown to nearly 2,000 community members, angels, all making a difference for each other.
It's not just me, it's everyone. Everybody connects, and everybody's doing their part in making our island a good place.
The domino effect of this will forever change people's lives. It really, really will. My family will be forever grateful. I mean, she's fed the masses. She really has, so to speak. So,
take that, COVID.
Wow, wasn't that an amazing story? Thank you, Cindy, and the Whidbey Island Angels for your hearts of gold and your tireless work. That's such a great example of just people paying attention to the need around them and then just deciding to do something about it. What an amazing community coming together to help those who need help. Now let's welcome a special guest speaker whose connection to the Red Cross is both longstanding and deeply personal. Michelle Yim is a registered nurse and a newer Red Cross volunteer in Snohomish County. But as soon as we met her and heard about her story, we knew we had to invite her here to share her story with all of you too.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm able to be here with you today as a healthy mom of 2 because of the generosity of blood donors. First, going back to 1997, when my oldest son, Christopher, was born, he had multiple birth defects, and he had required over 50 to 60 procedures and surgeries throughout his life. The one surgery, the scariest surgery that I will never forget, was his open heart surgery. He was only 7 weeks old and just over 7 pounds. The heart-lung machine had to be primed with 2 units of donor blood. You see, babies that young just don't have enough blood volume to survive on a heart-lung machine. But he did survive, and he's now 24 years old. That is when my appreciation for blood donors began, knowing that a stranger's selfless gift gave my baby the gift of life. How could you thank someone enough for making that possible? Almost 20 years later, I found myself in a very similar situation. I was saved by donor blood and plasma. They are strangers, and they are my heroes. And because of them, I'm alive today to be able to share my story with you. As a registered nurse, you would think I'd recognize that when something was really, really wrong, right? But not always. Cancer, especially blood cancer, has a way of sneaking up on you until you are barely clinging on to life. And that's what happened to me. In May of 2014, my husband brought me to the emergency room. And during my initial exam, the phlebotomist kept returning to take my blood. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. When I asked him why, he said, "Oh, well, your blood clotted. The doctor needed to order more tests. Then at the very end, we have to double check and confirm your results." The emergency room doctors started yelling for blood. I learned that they only had 2 units of blood that matched my blood type. The doctors yelled to call the blood bank for more blood. They needed more blood as soon as possible. I knew I was in trouble and something was really, really wrong. My care team couldn't get the donor blood and platelets in fast enough. Blood was being pumped into my right arm and platelets in the left arm. They were pumping so fast that my arms were throbbing. At 3 in the morning, the oncologist came into my room. He kneeled down at my bedside and said, "I'm the oncologist, and you have acute myeloid leukemia. You are very, very ill, and you're not stable enough to transfer to the ICU. Tomorrow, which was a Sunday, you will have a confirmation bone marrow biopsy and your port placed. You will immediately begin chemotherapy Monday. Acute myeloid leukemia has a very high mortality rate, and the odds were not on my side. Very, very late stage leukemia mimics appendicitis. I needed chemotherapy 24 hours a day for 7 days straight. I learned that had I not gone to the emergency room that night, the doctor said I would have likely died that evening. That night, I needed 5 units of donor blood and 4 units of platelets just to get me stable enough to transfer to the ICU. Over 50 units of blood and 20 units of platelets, all from donors, has made it possible for me to be here with you today. Have you ever donated blood? Do you think you could? if you just carved out the time. I'm here to share with you that not all blood goes to victims of trauma. Donor blood is needed for newborns, cancer patients, and others that are clinging to life, and they all have the hopes of surviving. Blood is not something that can be manufactured. It has to come from someone like you. One of my very best friends, Claudine, recently shared with me that she and her children donate blood on a regular basis. Until she heard my story, she never put a face to someone who needed blood before. She thinks of a very familiar face when she sits in the donor chair now at the blood bank. She thinks of mine. I will always be so very thankful to the Red Cross and what the organization stands for and what it does for others in need. For those of you who already donate, you are my true heroes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. For future donors or those who are thinking of donating blood, just know that you will be giving the amazing gift of life. And now, if it helps to picture the face of a blood recipient the next time you donate, I hope you picture mine and my son Christopher. And please know how very grateful that I am to be alive today of a mom of two and to share my story with you. Thank you.
Wow, Michelle, that was so inspiring. So if there's any doubt as to the life-saving impact of blood donations, I think you've really set the record straight. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves again and make another appointment. You know, and it brings up a really good point. Many of us have had family members who've battled cancer. A lot of cancer patients need a lot of blood. And can you imagine what it would be like if they just said, we don't have the blood for your loved one? So thank you for sharing your story with us. Most importantly, we are so happy that you are able to be here to share that story yourself. So I think now is a good time to check on the incoming donations. I'd like to call out the names of a few donors: Suzanne Campbell, Tony Devery, Lavender Yim, Deborah Phelps, and take a look at the totals there as they're going. Mark McClure, Rob Muskowitz, Pat O'Hara, Rick Pedek, Dave Peters, Deborah Phelps, Stephen Prinz. Supporters, you guys are keep those donations coming in, and we'll watch the money come in to this amazing organization. If you haven't already made a donation, please consider donating this morning. On the left side of the screen there, you'll see that donation options to be able to make a gift while viewing the rest of our program this morning. If you're on a mobile device, you will need to exit full screen and then scroll below the video window to make a donation. You can also pick up your phone and just text NWWA21 to 76278. Super easy way to donate on your mobile device. Thank you for your generosity so far. All right, let's let the inspiration continue with our next award presenter.
Thank you so much, Mark. Hello, everyone. My name is Cherie Groves with Access Roof and Gutter Incorporated. I'd like to take a moment to thank the American Red Cross for your commitment to serving our community and delivering hope in times of chaos. We can only imagine how chaotic it must have been in the moments that led to this next heroic event, which makes the accomplishment of these next young heroes that much more impressive. I hope you enjoy meeting and hearing how cousins Blake and Mason work together to save a life.
On a typical sunny day, this area of Whidbey Island's Deer Lake is swimming with kids. That was the case as cousins Blake and Mason were here one May afternoon.
We brought water guns, and then we were having a water gun fight.
A 3-year-old boy was near his mom as she swept the dock. Parents take turns keeping things clean. In the short time it took her to put the broom and dustpan away, her toddler went into the water.
He probably thought, oh, I can touch, and he just jumped in, but he couldn't.
I saw him fall in from the dock, and it clicked to mind that I needed to go get him.
Mason quickly swam to the little boy.
He was floating, but on his stomach, so his face was underwater.
Mason called for Blake, who was on the dock, to help lift the boy out of the water.
I helped him up, and Mason was like, his whole head was underwater trying to push him up. I just pulled him up with 2 hands because he was very heavy.
The little boy was coughing and crying.
I patted him on the back, and he like puked a little bit of puke, and he just spit out so much water on my foot. I had to rinse it off in the water.
By this time, Mom was back and so relieved Mason and Blake took action and saved her little boy.
They said it happened just so quick. Just so quick. And the mom was just very grateful. I'm just really proud of these boys, and I'm glad that that little boy had them here.
The cousins are now advocates of life jackets on those near the water who can't yet swim. And they want everyone to always watch out for each other, as they did.
I was a little nervous, like scared, but then it came like to my mind that don't be scared, don't be nervous to do this, just go save a child that is drowning.
And I was thankful that I could save that little boy.
Good morning. My name's Keely Reinhardt. I'm a longtime board member here in Northwest Washington. And I'm also on the National Philanthropic Board and the National Red Cross Tiffany Circle. On behalf of my company, Rhino Ventures, it is my honor this year to introduce the Claire Waite Award recipient. Each year, the annual Claire Waite Award is given to a community member or partner who exemplifies a long-standing commitment to the American Red Cross and its mission. This award's namesake, Claire Waite, worked at the Red Cross for over 30 years before retiring in 2011 at the age of 88 years old. The inspirational Claire Waite passed away just 6 months later, but lives on in our hearts and in our memories. Much like Claire, this year's recipient is a dedicated humanitarian. Margaret Smith began her journey as a disaster health services volunteer in 1999. Over the next 22 years, Margaret became one of the best examples of humanitarianism in our region. Margaret has volunteered in multiple departments, including service to the armed forces and disaster cycle services. Most recently, Margaret served as the Northwest Regional Disability Integration Lead. This position provides training and guidance for our disaster services team to make sure we can meet the need of every individual experiencing a disaster. Margaret is an advocate for her clients with disabilities and ensures shelter volunteers are prepared to support people with various accessibility needs. Margaret also played an essential role in the Red Cross Northwest chapter. Here she brings a sense of leadership, wisdom, and innovation to every assignment and project that she tackles. More importantly, Margaret has an unwavering passion and commitment to serving others. Margaret is a beloved Red Crosser. She is always first to volunteer, a friendly face on deployment, a welcoming host at a blood drive, and much more. I know many of you watching today know Margaret and understand this recognition is well-deserved and perfectly timed as she announced her retirement as a volunteer with the American Red Cross. Margaret, thank you for your service, your volunteerism, and the many contributions to our chapter and region. Congratulations on receiving our 2021 Claire Waite Award. Thank you.
Congratulations to Margaret. Thank you for all of your years of hard work. And Blake and Mason, oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you for taking action and saving that little boy. What an inspiration all of you are. Before we head to our next Hero Award, Let's thank this year's fundraising champions. So these are individual fundraisers who are board members, sponsor representatives, staff, volunteers, and community supporters who have leaned on their family and their friends and their network of coworkers to raise critical funds for the Red Cross. Thank you for your tremendous efforts. This money, as you are seeing, goes to such a great cause. Right now, let's hear from our next presenting sponsor from the Fluke Corporation.
Hello all, I'm Walter Hawk from the Fluke Corporation, a proud sponsor of the Red Cross and this Heroes Breakfast celebration. Workplace safety is always at the forefront of everything we do here at Fluke. So when we see examples of heroism in the workplace, we take special note. Keith Buer was in the middle of a shift when something very scary happened. Before we start this next video, please know that everyone made it out okay. Here's a look at Keith in action.
Whatcom Transit Authority driver Keith Buer has been a bus driver for 16 years. Last May, his experience and training were put to the test. A rider got on at this Fairhaven stop. After a bit, she began to yell and swear.
And I asked her to stop swearing, and her first response was, okay. And then she thought about it for half a second and said, well, call the cops. And I'm like, oh, good, this is gonna be fun.
She got more agitated. Keith called in the disturbance and stopped the bus, planning to ask the woman to get off. Then she pulled out a knife and started attacking a college student at the back of the bus.
He just did everything that we would have ever asked him to do.
Watch as Keith confronts the woman and stops the attack. He steps in to distract and defuse, just as he was trained, and allows the young woman to escape.
Could have been a much different outcome with an operator that maybe didn't have as much experience, maybe was not comfortable confronting the person on the bus that had a weapon. But thankfully, Keith was our driver that day.
It was a traumatic event that could have been much worse. Keith kept the woman on the bus and later went outside with a first aid kit to treat the stab wounds to the student's hand until police and medics arrived.
I was just doing my job, calming the situation. I'm the captain of my ship. I'm doing my job.
He stepped in and took the responsibility and diffused the situation. And so, yeah, Keith's a hero. There's no doubt about it.
Hi, I'm Holly with the Illinois Red Cross, but today I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, helping with our response to Hurricane Ida.
I'm Justin, here in Madison, Wisconsin, at one of our disaster relief supply warehouses.
I'm Mariam in Los Angeles, standing in front of one of our disaster relief vehicles.
I'm getting ready to train another group of students in the life-saving skills of CPR.
Across the nation, the American Red Cross responds to 60,000 disasters every year in communities just like this.
And for us in California, that was the wildfires that continue to rage through our state.
Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood.
At the American Red Cross, we collect 40% of the nation's supply of life-saving blood products.
And every day, 13,000 volunteer blood donors like me roll up their sleeves somewhere in the U.S. and help give the gift of life.
Today, we're here at the U.S. Coast Guard Flu Shot Clinic event.
At the American Red Cross, we're there to support the men and women of our armed forces, our veterans, and military families.
The Red Cross makes a real difference in communities and households from coast to coast.
From coast to coast.
From coast to coast.
We're all in this together to bring comfort, relief, and hope.
All right, we are nearing the end of this morning's program, but there are 2 more heroes and 1 more incredible story to share with you. And just 1 more shout out to Keith, the bus driver up in Bellingham. Keith, thank you so much for your heroic actions. That's just amazing. Before we get to our next presenter, please consider making a donation. To the left of your screen, you'll see the donation options. And you can make your gift while viewing the rest of our program. Also, as we mentioned, super easy to text a donation. Text NWWA21 to 76278. All right, now let's turn it over to Ken Kettler from the Tulalip Resort Casino to present our final Hero Award.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Ken Kettler, President and Chief Operating Officer here at the Tulalip Resort Casino. It's another special year where we're required to gather virtually, but I'm looking forward to welcoming you all back here in person next year at the Tulalip Resort. These final two hero recipients know all too well the frightening emotions of responding to a loved one in need. But these young men set fear aside and relied on instinct, formal training, and perseverance to save a life.
On a local river last June, two 16-year-old Mariner High School students, Arturo Salinas Lopez and John Ryan Newsom, embarked on an inner tube float. John Ryan's dad, Ed, decided to go along as he had before.
This year we went a little bit early in the season, so the river was a little higher than normal, a little swifter than normal.
And I remember at the beginning where we started, there's a whole sign that says, oh, beware of like this big log and stuff. And we're like, oh, no biggie, it was here last year.
The two teenagers got around that log. Ed did not.
Next thing I know, I'm underneath this log, stuck in the current.
So then I went back and I started yelling at Arturo. I was like, bro, my dad.
I knew I was in trouble.
We came to realize that he wasn't gonna come up, and John started to panic.
It was just total darkness after that. I drowned. I remember taking my last 2 gulps and then thinking of my kids, and all black. It was just black.
He yelled, he's like, my dad, I can't find him. He was floating down, facing the water, facing down.
When Arturo and John Ryan got to Ed, he was unconscious and not breathing.
It was just a river. There's like no shore, no nothing. We could like put him on and start giving him CPR. So he pulled him to the side and we squatted down and we actually put him on our legs. So it was like, so we could turn him around a little and then like beat his chest and stuff.
Arturo had taken a Red Cross CPR course as part of swimming lessons, but this was so different than what he'd practiced in class.
It was just a really awkward position to give CPR, especially since the current's still against you. You got nothing to lean on. You can't do proper, lay him down, push on his chest.
But they kept trying, taking turns.
Like John started doing CPR, so as in like I laid, and then they put John's dad body on me, and John started doing CPR properly. You know, at least he had something against, like something firm, not some tree roots.
They decided Arturo should go to a nearby house to call for help, while John Ryan kept working as best he could.
I was like beating his chest, and then he started like opening and closing his eyes. So I was like, oh, so yeah, there's still a chance. So I started beating his chest, giving him some CPR, and then he coughed, and then he coughed some water out.
By the time a rescue boat came, Ed was breathing on his own. He spent 2 days in intensive care, and every day since, thankful for his 2 teenage heroes.
Because they saved my life. I almost died in my son's arms.
I'm starting to think that taking CPR should be mandatory because, I mean, it's easy to learn and it also saves lives. You never know when you're going to use it. You never know when you're going to need to use it.
I wish all teenage boys could be like those two. Because not your average teenage boy wouldn't know what to do in a situation like that. I count my blessings on that.
Wow. Arturo and John, congratulations. Thank you for your heroism, for saving a life, and just really being an example for all of us. Way to go. All right. It's been a truly extraordinary morning. I'm so proud and honored to be part of this event, to share these incredible stories with you. And a big shout out to Kim and Tim Griffiths with Healthcare Video Edge, my former TV colleagues, for putting those stories together. And thank you and congratulations to our 2021 Hero Award recipients. You've shown courage and selflessness and a commitment to communities across Northwest Washington, and your stories will continue to inspire others as we navigate times of need. I'd like to thank our sponsors once again. Board members, thank you for your tireless efforts, for volunteering so much of your time and resources. And fundraising champions, for your support of the Red Cross and this event. Today, we set a goal to inspire you to go forth and take action. Maybe it's something really small like taking a CPR course. We've seen how that pays off. You never know when you're going to need that. Another super easy way, make a blood donation. If you've never given blood, I really encourage you to do so. It's not bad at all. And it really does make a huge difference. And blood supplies during the pandemic have been extremely low on all levels. Maybe you're just going to help a neighbor in need, or maybe you're going to sign up to be a volunteer with the Red Cross. I really hope that you felt encouraged. I think that the common takeaway is that all of these heroes this morning that we've seen have just really just paid attention to their surroundings and said, what can I do in my circumstance to help others in need? So I also invite you to share these stories of local heroism. There are some links on the side there where you can just click and share these stories with your friends and family, and figure out a way how you can get more involved with the American Red Cross. So every one of you is a hero for joining us this morning. Thank you so much for supporting the Red Cross's mission. It's not going to be too long before I'm reading another story on the news that says, the American Red Cross helping the family find a place to live. And, we've seen the flooding, we've seen other weather events. So thank you to the Red Cross, and thanks to all of you for your generosity this morning. We're going to have some names scrolling up of everybody who made today's event possible. So thank you again for joining us. I really hope that we can get together next year in person at the Tulalip Resort and Casino. So I'll see you not tonight on the air. I've got a couple of days off, but I'll see you soon on the air on King, to seeing all of you back here next year.